بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أسأل الله تبارك وتعالى أن يجعل نياتنا خالصة لوجهه الكريم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. I praise Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. I thank Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala for the blessing of Al-Islam and Al-Iman, and the development of Al-Ihsan in our life. So we have 2 more days after today, Sunday and Monday, to resume our regularly scheduled classes. Inshallah, our reader would have returned home by then. Then we would get back to our lessons. So today, in our scattered thoughts, I want to make sure it's extremely important, because I've had several talks. I want to make sure of something that is extremely important. I've had several talks with various people after the summit, and I come to realize that the summit was very successful. And I'm going to tell you why on multiple levels. I didn't imagine that the summit would be as successful as it was when you take it in terms of what we intend to do. So some may look at the summit and it may not match what they intended to do, so it doesn't match. So they see gaps. And of course, if you look at the total picture of what we want to accomplish as a collective, there is going to be gaps, of course. But when you take it in terms of what we intend to do as our foundational base for what we want to do as a collective, it was an overwhelming success. And when I think about that, it makes me very happy. Like, we're doing great work. Because I remember a time when what we were doing, what are we doing now, was almost unheard of in our communities. We are making proud Sunni Muslims who are Americans of African descent. I like that. That's a nice. Me and Imam Talib had this discussion, and I said, SubhanAllah, this is nice. I like that when I thought about it. I think I'm going to switch. Maybe I'll be interchangeable. He called us Muslim Americans of African descent, right? You know, black people who happen to be Muslim, African Americans, Afro Americans. You know, we had all these different names, but I like that. We are American. We all have American passports, most of us, not every single one of us. Uh, and we happen to be of African descent. So we are connected to a land, even though we've been uh, kidnapped from that land, but it is our origin. But we've been infiltrated as a people in so many ways prior to Islam, within Islam, right? And many people don't know it. And we're actually getting to the point in our community where we understand what a Sunni Muslim is. So to reiterate that, when we want to identify a Sunni Muslim, any Sunni Muslim, whether he's African American, Arab, Pakistani, Bengali, Russian, Chinese, Indonesian, Malay, it don't matter. A Sunni Muslim, when we say the methodology of a Sunni Muslim, according to the primary sciences of Islam, would be what? I'm going to let you go. Let's see how fast you type. Identify to me a Sunni Muslim in following the primary Islamic sciences, which are three: Al-Iman, Al-Islam, and Al-Ihsan. So go ahead. I want you to define for me, based on that, identify for me a Sunni Muslim. Quick, fast, in a hurry, inshallah. Boy, Fatima, you rolling, but it's incomplete. I need more. That's a start. All of you go for it. Don't wait for somebody else. Okay, Abdul Rahim. Anyone else? Come on, there's a lot of y'all. I would like everyone to engage. That's why I really, really prefer live in person. Because, you know, I know some of us are traveling, some of us are working, some of us are on our work, some of us are eating pancakes. You know, we all doing all kinds of stuff, right? But I want us all to engage. I want us all to engage so that we're all clear, all on the same page. It's extremely important for the long-term work. So Islam Muhammad, a Sunni Muslim, will follow a madhab in fiqh, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, madhab in Aqidah, Ash'ari, Maturidi, and a path, tariqah in Tasawwuf, or follow the way of Tasawwuf. Okay. All right. Haja Stacy understands. Okay. Akil Fahad understands. MashaAllah. Come on, it's way more than y'all than the ones who answered. You know, even if you don't say anything, I see you. I know who's in the room. Big brother is always watching. No, I know how many people's here and y'all not answering. Come on, engage. Fil i'ada ifada. The more you repeat, there is a benefit. So, as y'all mentioned, the Sunni Muslim is, in terms of the primary legal sciences, no, the Sunni Muslim in the science of al-Aqidah or ilm al-Aqidah, the Sunni Muslim is Ash'ari or Maturidi. And also, in the science of al-Fiqh, he's either going to be Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, or Hanbali in fiqh. And in the science of al-Ihsan, at-Tasawwuf, he's going to follow the path of Tasawwuf. And sometimes that is by a spiritual path called a tariqah, and sometimes it's not. But they adhere to the way of at-Tasawwuf. And all three of them need to be combined. If one of them is left out, that person, we don't consider that person Sunni. We say, now listen clearly what I'm saying. This is important. We say that that person resembles the Sunnis in some ways, and he contradicts the Sunnis in other ways. So when all of those things, we talk about foundational, there's always details, right? We're not talking about details. We're talking about just the foundation of the Sunni Muslim. This is his foundation. When one of those is missing, right, we say about this person, they are Sunni in some aspects. In other aspects, they are not Sunni, right? This combination is properly, classically, historically, globally considered a Sunni Muslim. Now, with the names come a methodology which is transmitted by living scholars and reliable, well-known books. Y'all follow? So in the science of Aqidah, from the time of Imam al-Ash'ari and Imam al-Maturidi, our scholars and common people have followed their way and methodology of codifying and systematizing the Islamic creedal statements and beliefs in a form and a structure that we understand, and they've wrote books that have been accepted all the way down that have reached us today in creed. Likewise, in al-fiqh, the rules of the religion, they follow from those great imams in every succeeding generation, scholars and books that convey the methodology of those great imams in clarifying the religious rules of the religion. And likewise, in spirituality and at tasawwuf, those great imams that establish at-turuq as-sufiya, those Sufi paths, we take from them with that unbroken chain from living teachers and books down to today. So this is a very important process that all of us need to understand. what has been common in our communities, especially the Muslim American community of African descent, many of us never heard this in a organized way so that we learned our deen properly. Rather, what existed in our community is a mixture of ideas, some which are Sunni and some which contradict the path of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, but have been termed Sunni. It's very important to understand that. Some which were Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, some of those ideas, they fit within that methodology. And then other ideas are strange and deviated from the path of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, but we didn't know. So we took ideas that are not Sunni, not because we wanted to, lack of access to that chain of narration, to qualified teachers, trustworthy books, that historical and global understanding of Islam back to the great Imams and back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a verified, trustworthy way. We didn't have that. So this foundational thing is very important. And at the summit, that was established. Even if some who came for something else, they may came that we're going to do business. We're going to fix the marriage situation. We're going to do some politics. People came for different stuff. But what was established is that all of us in this 3453 family, I need to record this. In this 3453 family, can we all copy and paste this, please? I'm working on something. I need your help. I need your help. Can everyone copy 3453 family? I don't offer any rods to make t-shirts. If it doesn't come from us, don't buy it. Don't make no t-shirts. Don't make no hats. Don't do any of that. Right? So if you see somebody coming, I got 3453 hats, 3453 cups, 3553, don't buy it. And report them to your nearest Imam Amin authority. Don't do it. I know we need money. We find another way. Don't market this, please. Don't corrupt it with your marketing schemes. Don't do it. And if we did it in the past, stop, please. Y'all heard me? If it ain't coming from Masjid Muhammad, you see 3453 hats and 3453 banners and cups and no more of that stuff. Don't corrupt it with your marketing scheme. Please, don't buy it. No matter who it is, don't buy it. Don't make that stuff. Don't mess up our family with that. Find another way to make money. You don't have to make money off that. That's serving something we're trying to do. Don't ruin it. right? Let it be a heart matter. And if we ever do something like that, let it be to further what we're trying to do, not for someone's personal gain. Okay, good question. I'm not talking about you, Ak. You ain't the only one, Print. They beat you to it. Man, we hustlers, you know us. And I don't mind that, but I don't want it to get corrupted with marketing. I don't mind making a shirt and wearing a shirt, but all of us will be doing it and we'll be all over the place and we're doing different stuff and it's going to spoil you what the real intent of it is. And I don't want that to happen. So it's not so much about printing or making a cup. I mean, people have done it. I'm drinking a 3453 cup right now, and it's very nice. But I'm careful uh, that we don't lose the spirit in the process of business and marketing. Money usually corrupt people, so we don't want that. You don't corrupt the idea. That's why I'm saying that. That doesn't mean we will never do it, but it won't be business. If we have shirts made, and I'm not saying we won't. If we do, the money will go to the work we're doing, not to someone's pocket, right? The money, all of the proceeds will go to do the work because this work is more important than us as individuals making money. I'm going somewhere with this. So let me answer the question because it relates to what I said. I understand the explanation, khair, which means good. But what about the people that don't fit in the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah organized creed of sacred law 100%? Are we saying they're not Sunni? Then what are they? They are Sunni in that which they comply, and they are not Sunni in that which they don't comply. You follow my point? What are we saying about the one who doesn't fit in that 100%? They are Sunni in that which they comply with, and they are not Sunni in that which they don't comply with. Is that clear? Someone asked me a question yesterday. It was actually twice. They said, they said, they said to me, they said to me, how did it go? They were concerned. What about others who are Sunni, but they have strange ideas? This came to me like twice over the last couple of days, even last night. Imam Naim sent me something. So there are groups, organizations, various groups that are Sunni saying 80% of what they do, and 20% they're not following the way of Ahl Sunnah. But that 20% is the most highlighted part of their movement. Listen to what I said. There are Sunni groups. They are Sunni, Ash'ari, Maturidi, Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi'i, Hanbali, Sufi. They are Sunni. 80% of all of the stuff they teach is Ahl Sunnah. But say 20% or less or a little more, doesn't matter, right? A part of what they teach is not the way of Ahl Sunnah in some aspect, in details, not the foundations, in details. And that 20% is the most highlighted point of their group, right? So because that highlighted point is so strong, people will forget the 80% that is Ahl Sunnah, and they concentrate on the 20 and then say they're no good. What would be more proper for us to learn is not give general warnings like that. Say, in these issues, they follow the way of Ahl Sunnah. In this 20%, they've deviated from the way of Ahl Sunnah. In that 20%. But they are Ahl Sunnah in general, but in these issues, don't follow them. It's away from Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Do you follow my point? That's important. Nobody is all good and nobody is all bad in general. Even bad people have good things, and good people have bad things. So when we say Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, we're identifying something. That doesn't mean that the person who contradicts Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right, doesn't have some aspects where they agree with Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Do y'all follow? Y'all understand what I'm saying? Do y'all follow me? So what is upon us is to learn what is Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. And that is the methodology that is historical and global among Muslims all around the world from the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to his companions, to their followers, to the followers of the followers, and then to the establishment of the schools of al-fiqh, the schools of al-aqidah, and the paths of tasawwuf. Do y'all understand that? Because historically, the schools of al-fiqh were established and codified and put in a systematic structure before the science of al-aqidah was put in a structure. The science of aqidah was put into a systematic structure before the science of tasawwuf was put into turuk, into Sufi paths. So the imams of al-fiqh who had the correct aqidah, but it wasn't in a systematic structure and in a madhab. The madhabs of fiqh were established systematically first. Then the madhahib of al-aqidah, Ash'ari and Maturidi. Then the paths of tasawwuf. So there was a gradual structuring of different Islamic disciplines. Y'all do realize this, right? So that's why the four imams in time are before Imam al-Ash'ari or Imam al-Maturidi. And Imam al-Ash'ari and Maturidi were before a turuk that are famous. So like the Qadiriyya Tariqa or Rifa'iyya or Naqshbandiyya or Shadhiliyya or Ba'alawi or Shistiyya or all of those different groups, turuk, they came after al-Ash'ari or Maturidiyya in terms of structure and the systematic methodology of practicing the science. You do realize that, right? Is everyone with me? Are y'all following me? Any question what I just said? I want to make sure you understand this. Because if we got this, we're on our way to real unity. We're on our way to real unity. If we get this, if everybody understands this, we're on our way to real unity. Without this, we're going to fight. We're going to fight and we're going to differ. And that's not going to help us as a people. So this, to me, this is the most important thing we could do. That's not the only thing we have to do, but establishing the foundation by which we can cooperate with one another. Let me bust the bubble of some of us. I'm going to bust our bubble. If we don't have the same creed, if we don't have the same religious practice, if we don't have the same spiritual methodology in general, we're not going to cooperate. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Don't waste your time. We will never be able to cooperate in every matter with Al-Wahhabiyya. It will never happen. Or the Salafiyya. It will never happen. Don't waste your time even thinking about it. It's not going to happen. I know some of these people, well, we're going to all get along and we're going to Rodney King it. It's not going to work. I'm telling you, you're wasting your time. That doesn't mean from our side we're going to hate anyone. But listen, we don't believe the same thing. So we don't consider ourselves really together. Don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself. You're wasting valuable time thinking that. You're wasting your time. If you think some Wahhabi Salafis are going to join what we're talking about, you've lost your mind. You don't understand if you believe that. That doesn't mean they won't change. They could change. But they cannot join what we're doing as they are. It won't work. Do you understand? No, this is important. Why? Because if they be completely honest and they understand, I'm not talking about an unlearned person who doesn't know. If they understand, we are kuffar. And at the least, we are kuffar, really. At least we are vow innovators who it's not permissible to work with. At minimum, don't be fooled by those who act like they're with you. They're lying to you. All you got to do is read their books. And if that's why you will notice in their methodology, someone's always thrown off the minhaj. You know why you get thrown off the minhaj? When you don't hold the hard line of their doctrine. The hard line of their doctrine, you cannot play the dozens. Or the dozens, that's games, right? You can't be mixing and matching. It don't work. Either you're like this or you're not. You can't. And soon as you deviate from that hardcore line, you are an innovator and you just like the Ash'ari or Maturidi or the Sufis. That's how that works. That's real. Unless they're just going to deny their doctrine. Right? And if they're going to deny their doctrine, that's the difference. But with Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, you won't have that. Ahl Sunnah have this broad framework, and within that broad framework, if you're Hanafi and you follow the Hanafi school, no Shafi is going to say you're misguided. If you're Hanbali and you really follow the Hanbali school, no Hanbali is going to say the Maliki is misguided. No Sufi is going to say the other Sufi who's following the Tariqah or the path of Tasawwuf correctly is going to say he's deviant. No Ash'ari is going to call a Maturidi deviant. Do you understand? It's a methodology with well-known differences that are established, defined, and accepted as a difference of understanding, of interpretation, of approach. It's accepted. Within that doctrine which contradicts all of Ahl Sunnah, right? We could never foundationally work. So someone has to change, right? In order to cooperate. I'm talking about religiously. I'm not talking about in worldly matters. But sometimes the doctrine affects how you deal in worldly matters. Does everyone understand that? Do y'all follow me? This is not an easy job to explain these things. Trust me. People don't like it. No, get mad at you. But I'm thinking about something bigger. We have never, as far as I know, and I talk to many African American, Muslim Americans of African descent who focus on the history of our people, we've never had a continuous understanding of Sunni Islam among us ever. And I've met all kinds of people who say we are Sunni, and it's always broken, always missing some stuff, always don't know, always can't explain. And we need to fix that. Do y'all understand? Never in the history of us as Muslims, we've never had a continuous, unbroken chain of straight Sunni Islam according to its well-known, famous definition that is going from generation to generation to generation to generation. Community has been built on that for decades. We've never had that. And by now, we should have been able to maintain it. But we were overwhelmed by ideas that contradict Ahl Sunnah, and we didn't have those continuous teachers, those relied upon books, and we didn't have it, and therefore today we're still scattered. This is like 1,000-year work I'm talking about, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, this has to last 1,000 years after we're gone. And listen, I'm going to give you an example of that. Don't get mad, just listen. Then we can have the conversation. Are y'all ready? What was the strongest movement of quote unquote Sunni black African American Muslims? What was the strongest movement that we had that we can identify historically in America? Go ahead, explain. Tell me. Come on, Akil. Don't run now. There's no such thing as Darul Salam. So, all right, don't get mad. If we can't handle truth, get off the line. If we can handle truth and we're grown, we're adults, as someone told me, we're grown, we'll get over it. Right? We're grown, we're men and women, we're grown folks. We're trying to do something here. Let's be honest, right? What was the methodology of the Darul Islam movement, which was African Americans? What was their methodology? Tell me. Akil, no running. Get in the game. What was the methodology of the Dar? Tell me. Come on, Akil, you the historian around here. Come get some of this heat. Don't run. I'm turning the fire up. Not with bad intention. I'm telling you how important is what we're doing. I'm telling you, what the heck is Quran and Sunnah? What is that? No, seriously, not being honestly. We having a real talk. What was their methodology? Let's start with the Dar. What is their methodology? What was, because they don't exist. What were their methodology? What was their methodology? People don't know. We don't know. What were their books that they learned to learn Aqidah? From whom were their teachers? This is Ahl Sunnah, right? Listen, Ahl Sunnah. We have asanid, chains of narration. Al-isnadu min ad-din. Walau la isnad, laqala man sha ma sha. The chain of narration is a part of the religion. Without it, anyone can say whatever they want. What was their chain of narration in Aqidah first? Right? We're not criticizing. We're talking about us. We're trying to survive here. Don't take it. Okay, this is Akil Fad. He's going to take some of this heat with me. I'm not taking it all by myself. That's another thing. When we speak truth, we must support truth. Don't run because you don't want no heat. And we shouldn't have heat for truth. Among us, we got to be seekers of truth. We got to deal with our reality. We're trying to get better. Don't get angry, get better. That's what we should be. No one's trying to hurt us. We're trying to save us, right? So he said they took creed from Wahhabi books. So this is him. He's a historian, so I'm going to take his word. So their books were in creed, not everybody probably, because they're all over the place. They were movement. They weren't, okay. When you say you don't agree, Farouk, Furqan, is because you don't know. Not in a negative way. He's a historian. The books they studied in the Dar were the books of Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. Yes, they were the books that they studied. They studied books, and I know many of them, from Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab with a different name. They didn't realize it. They were studying Wahhabi books. They didn't know. And they might have been some that was mixing with other stuff, but in general, these were Wahhabi books. No doubt about it. Historically, you can trace it. That's why I said, listen, it's not a debate. We can historically, factually check it. This is the Dar. Talk to anybody from the Dar who studied, who understands, besides movement. We're not talking about movement. We're talking about creed. When we were learning, what books were we using? What sheikhs were we studying from? Who were our teachers? What were our chains of narration? That's part of the deen, right? Do you follow my point? When you examine that, you see there were Wahhabi books, no doubt. That ain't to get mad. That was available. We were hoodwinked, bamboozled, run them up, tricked. Fine, let's fix it. No problem. Let's fix it. So that was, as a movement, what was their madhab in al-fiqh? So they were not Ash'ari, they were not Maturidi. So already, technically defined, that's not Ahl Sunnah. But that doesn't mean they didn't have some aspects of Ahl Sunnah, but it wasn't in creed. So that means a whole generations of us didn't have the creed of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. We were deprived of that. Listen, they did a number on us, man, as Black people. A number has been done on us, but we have to change that system that they had on us. Hanafi fiqh, so you say. That's not effective. Okay. What books they learn in fiqh, in Hanafi fiqh? What books? What books they studied in Hanafi fiqh? Since you said they were Hanafi, what books? What books? What books? And I'm going to take Akil Fad because this is his field, history. What books in Hanafi fiqh did they study? That was going across the movement. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about the movement, the group. Everybody was on this. What books of fiqh? Tell me, what Hanafi books? Said they were Hanafi. What Hanafi books? This is not a criticism. I'm trying to show us something. It's not a criticism. I give us all the excuses for not knowing. We every excuse that's given, black folks deserve it before anybody. So follow me. Everyone put this up, please, before we go any further. This is not a please. I want us all to understand that because some people will tune out because they think I'm criticizing. This is not a criticism of our people at all. Please put that up, copy it. Because some people will tune out because of emotions. And we already talked. We can't be men acting like the women. We told them don't be emotional. When we talk about polygyny and all that, and people get emotional. Now we talking about Islam. Please don't become like we didn't want the women to get emotional. Don't you get emotional when we're talking about the truth. Don't start acting like what we didn't want the women to do. Don't you do it. Don't get emotional. I'm not criticizing you. We're trying to find and discover the truth. That's it. And once we discover the truth, it's not personal. Nobody's attacking you. Okay. So, right, there you go. That's all we're doing. There you go, Furkan, my man. That's right, Sayyidi. That's all we're doing. Ain't nobody trying to hurt your feelings. Right? We love you. That's why we're telling you. And me too. We all need, right? I'm going to share something so you don't take it personal after this. So what books in Hanafi fiqh? You've named several books in Hanafi fiqh. None of those books are reliable in Hanafi fiqh. Let me go back. Fiqh Sunnah is not even following the madhab, so we can cross that one out, right? That's Wahhabi book. That's not even in no madhab, right? Fiqh Sunnah by Sayyid Sabiq. Elementary teachings of Islam, no Hanafi who is a real Hanafi is studying that book for fiqh. That's some put together book. That's not a Hanafi reliable fiqh book. Remember I said reliable fiqh book. You meet any Hanafi, no Hanafi is studying that book. That's not a reliable fiqh book in the Hanafi school. No one would rely on that. So wipe that out. Go ahead. What else? Ta'lim al-Haq is for little children. It only deals with the basic principles, and it's not really a fiqh book. It's just something to help kids. That's why I got pictures in it with people making wudu. That's a kid's book. It has the form of Hanafi fiqh, but it's not a relied upon book in the madhab. That's for kids, not for adults. So even though it follows, and they weren't all following that, they were all over the place. In fiqh, so we said aqidah, we said fiqh, right? Follow me. Everyday fiqh, same concept, not a reliable book in the Hanafi school. Milestones has nothing to do with fiqh. It's not a fiqh book. It's a movement book by Sayyid Qutb, who was not following Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. He was of the Khawarij of our time. So I'm just giving you a point. So we got Aqidah, wipe out. We got fiqh, wipe out. Next, what about Tasawwuf? What about Tasawwuf? No. Listen. You said the point. I got it. That's what they gave us. I got it. That's my point. Somebody always giving us crap. And when I say that, excuse that, I shouldn't say it that way. Someone always giving us an inferior product. Let me not say crap. I take that back. I hate sometimes in my passion to help us, I'm a little bit harsh sometimes in my speech. So I take that back. I don't mean that. They give us an inferior product all the time. And we have to stop that stuff. And we settle for it while they keep for themselves the nice stuff, the real stuff. And then ultimately they come back and say, you black people don't know Islam. Well, you never shared real Islam with us. You always give us some watered down stuff. This is for you guys. While you built Darul Ulooms and all this other stuff and schools and institutions and universities for your people. And with us here, take this for you guys. We got to stop that. So I agree. They did us a number. Y'all follow? Move to Tasawwuf. Akil, where you at? What was the position of the Dard in Tasawwuf? This is not an attack, please. I'm not picking on the Dard. Right? There were a few classes of Qadiriyya before Sheikh Jilani, right? Did it ever become a systematic structure among the members of the Dar that they followed the Qadiri way or that they were engaged in Tasawwuf? That's a question. Akil, was it ever a structured methodology among the members? No, it was not systematic, right? Okay. So that means as we define Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah, classically and historically, this is not us. This is classical stuff all around the world. It didn't fit. It could have been a great movement for us as a movement, but the foundation of the movement was not Ahl-Sunnati wal Jama'ah. It resembled Ahl-Sunnah in some ways. We don't deny that. But guess what? With such a structure, we're never going to learn our deen properly. It's not sustainable. Why? Because it's broken. It's all over the place. It doesn't have a form. That's why it don't last. Whereas Sunni Islam has lasted from the time of its codification into structured sciences to this day. And it will be like that until the day of judgment. Do you understand where we're left out? So when we engage the Muslim world, we're always engaging as inferiors because we were never properly educated. As a collective, I'm not talking about individually. As a collective, we weren't properly educated. Do you follow what I'm saying? Am I clear? Question, Imam, is fiqh al-Imam key proofs in the Hanafi fiqh? Is this a real? I never heard of this book. What is that? Fiqh al-Imam? I never heard of such a thing. What are you talking about? What book are you mentioning? There's no Hanafi book, well-known Hanafi book called Fiqh al-Iman. What are you talking? What book are you trying to? Are you talking about Al-Fiqh al-Akbar? Is that what you're talking about? There you go. And we got to accept this stuff. It happened to us in Islam. We got to be real. Stop being so prideful. They hoodwinked us. All right, fine. Let's fix it. Let's fix this stuff. We've been duped. All right. That's what it is. Let's fix it. We ain't duped no more. We're in line to do what we have to do. That doesn't mean we know everything. We have a lot of work to do. Cash, if you got to tell me what you're talking about. There's no book called Fiqh al-Imam in Hanafi school. That's not a book. Are you talking about Al-Fiqh al-Akbar by Imam Abu Hanifa? Is that what you mean? Kashif, I'm going to show you something if that's what you're talking about. Imam Abu Hanifa, he has a book called Al-Fiqh al-Akbar. Al-Fiqh al-Akbar by Imam Abu Hanifa is not in fiqh, it's in aqidah. Because al-aqidah, al-fiqh here, it means understanding. It doesn't mean jurisprudence. So when he says al-fiqh al-akbar, what is meant by that, it is the greatest understanding, right? Al-fiqh mean al-fahm, understanding. It doesn't mean jurisprudence in this context. Imam Abu Hanifa didn't write books in fiqh. He wrote books in aqidah. The fiqh of Imam Abu Hanifa was developed as a structure during his time of his students, but books were written later by his students and the students of his students. So the actual books of fiqh are not written by Imam Abu Hanifa. They're narrations transmitted from him through his students. Do y'all understand? What is that? Is that a book? Oh, that's not a major Hanafi fiqh book. That's not a major Hanafi fiqh book. I'm not aware of it. That's not like a book you study in the Hanafi school when you're learning Hanafi fiqh. That's not in a curriculum like that. That might be a side book someone wrote. If you're studying Hanafi fiqh, you're not going to study that in a curriculum. That's why I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of this book. Let me see something. I know the Sheikh. Let me see something. Oh, I see what y'all talking about. Oh yeah, no, this book was written by a contemporary person. It's not like a thick book. This is not fiqh. This is giving you a historic background of fiqh. Why taqleed, why you follow a madhab like that. Actually it's not a fiqh book at all in terms of rules. It's just giving some information about fiqh rulings. It's not fiqh book. You don't learn fiqh from that book. It's giving you background of why the Hanafis have these positions. It has nothing to do with fiqh itself. Do y'all understand that? I see the book. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, I see the book. Okay. No, I know the person. I know exactly who he is. But I'm talking about the book itself. It's not a fiqh book. It talks about fiqh. It gives evidence why fiqh rulings. It has discussions about that, but it's not a fiqh book in per se. When you go learn fiqh, you don't learn from that book. Okay. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So at the summit, what we're learning is our methodology. This way, we can begin in our community to codify our methodology of learning that fits in with the historic and global community for the past 1400 years. That's very important. And that could go for other communities as well. In our experience, we're still going through stages. The problem is this. Now, y'all ready for this one? This is the hard one. We get stuck because we don't want to accept that we were mistaken. Right. Al-Hidayah is a high level Hanafi fiqh textbook. That's not where you start. That's high level. That's advanced level Al-Hidayah. You start lower than that. When you start classically with a real teacher, you don't start at that level. That's advanced studies. That's when you're going to the rank of mufti. After you did a whole curriculum, then you end up there. We're going to talk about all this, right? We've actually talked about it in previous classes. We've covered all of this stuff, but it was years ago, so you probably forgot. And you're developing as a group. But anyone who studies properly, they know these things. It's not something Imam Amin is making up. Anyone who studies knows what I'm talking about. The problem is, are we going to be critical with ourselves and honest? Whether we have it or not, just be honest. If I tell you I'm not a doctor, are any of y'all going to get mad? Yes, you are. You a brain surgeon. Right? No, honestly, if I tell you I'm not a doctor, or you say to me, Imam Amin, you're not a brain surgeon, should I get angry? Should I be upset? You know, did y'all see that movie? I don't know. I think it was one of those TV shows. It wasn't a movie. It was a TV show. I think it was called House, or one of those doctor emergency room ER, one of those shows. Y'all remember that? They were like the doctor show ER or House, one of those. And the black guy, he played a doctor. The young brother, he was in like those movies, Juice, or some of those, you know, A Love and Basketball. I think he was in that movie. You remember the guy that was in Love and Basketball? Didn't he play in one of those doctor movies or doctor TV shows? Omar Epps, one of them. I don't know which one it was, but y'all know who I'm talking about. He was a doctor in the TV show, right? But anyway, you know who I'm talking about. It's a black guy. He's famous. I don't know their names. He said that sometimes he was walking down the street and people used to ask him real medical questions because he played a doctor on TV. People would come up with real medical conditions and would ask him, I want to get a second opinion. He said, hey, I'm not a doctor. I just play that on TV. I'm an actor. I'm not a doctor. I can't answer that. Right? He said people used to walk up to him and ask him about serious medical conditions because he played a doctor on TV. Right? Do y'all understand what I'm saying? So we have to get out of realizing our levels. But once we realize our levels, then we don't get angry. If you say to me, you're not a brain surgeon, I say, you're right, I'm not a brain surgeon. Even if I know a little bit about medicine, I'm not a brain surgeon. I'm not going to get upset you telling me that. So when we define Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah and we say that's not Sunni, don't get mad. You know it's you yourself agree that's not Sunni. You don't follow the Sunni approach. You know that yourself. It's not like, why are you getting upset? It's true. Or you just don't like that we told you it's true. It's true though. You yourself don't accept. No Sunni Muslim's going to tell you I follow Quran and Sunnah. No, unless he's a mujtahid. And Ahl Sunnah haven't accepted absolute ijtihad from anybody since probably the 7th century. And definitely haven't agreed upon that since the time of the great Imams. So someone talking about I follow Quran and Sunnah, to a real Sunni Muslim, that means you're a mujtahid mutlaq. And we haven't accepted that claim from anyone for centuries. Even if they fit those qualifications, we haven't accepted that. So you telling me I follow Quran and Sunnah, that means you mujtahid mutlaq. And who lied to you? Do you understand I'm talking about a Sunni. Any Sunni, whether he's Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, Hanbali, you come to him saying, I follow Quran and Sunnah. What that means to him, you're a mujtahid mutlaq. And that's silly. That is silly for someone to say that. But it became the catchphrase. Akam upon the Sunnah. Wait a minute. Number one, from Hadith. Let me show you how crazy that is. From Hadith. From Hadith. At the bare minimum of Hadith knowledge, you need to know all the Hadith of Ahkam. All the Hadith that relate to legal rulings. With their chains of narration to ensure they're correct. Ain't none of us got that kind of knowledge. Would you stop? That's impossible for most of us. For most of us, with our lifestyles and our families and works and careers and attachment to the dunya, you don't even have time to memorize the hadith that relate to legal rulings and the verses of the Quran that relate to legal rulings. And I'm not talking about the whole thing. I'm talking about just the verses of Ahkam and the ahadith of Ahkam. You don't know them, especially with their chains of narration and then knowing the weight of the rijal of those. Come on, man, would you stop it? At best, you study Bulugh al-Maram of Al-Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani without the chains of narration, without that, and you ain't even mastered that. And you're talking about you're deducing legal rulings, you're upon the Sunnah. You're insane. Or when I say that, you don't know. So I shouldn't say, see, there I go again. I don't say you're insane. You function as an insane person, but you're not insane. You just don't know no better. And we have to change that in our communities. I had a guy that's from Abdul Wali's community. He came to me. He said, we was with Sheikh Samir. He says to me, he don't know who I am. He didn't know that I was a student of Sheikh. He just thought I was a black guy. Because, it'd be all immigrants. And I'm usually like one of, if only, or a handful of black people in the crowd. He didn't know me. So he thought he's a black guy. He's coming to hang out. Let me teach him, right? So he comes to me. He said, you shouldn't listen to him. He doesn't know who I am. He says, you shouldn't listen to him. I said, why? He said, you should follow the Sunnah and learn al-fiqh. I'm going to teach you fiqh. I said, really? What do you he says to me, he's got some things of Bulugh al-Maram, right? Obtaining the objective of Ibn Hajar. He said, this is fiqh. I said, that's not fiqh. No, he was sincere though. I'm not gonna lie. But we was cracking up because he was so sincere and so serious. And he was defending the Sunnah. It was hilarious. And we, to this day, it's a joke among the students. Not about him, just about the thing, right? He's like, yeah, we got fiqh lessons. I was like, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. These books are evidences, hadith, that the scholars use as evidences for certain legal rulings. But you have to distinguish between how those legal rulings are applied to the rulings of al-fiqh. It's two different things. But he wanted to skip that because there was a bunch of hadith in the book. He thought that he's going to make fiqh rulings from these hadith. And he don't even know how they're applied in al-fiqh. But he meant well. I get it. But he was challenging a master of Hanafi fiqh, a master in Shafi'i fiqh with his Bulugh al-Maram. English translation, by the way. MashaAllah. But he wasn't black, so don't think it was a black guy. It wasn't a black guy. He was immigrant. It was hilarious. And when I say that, I wasn't laughing at him. It was just, when you understand what's happening, it is funny, right? It is funny. It's sad in one sense, but funny in another sense. Funny that we can't be serious about this. Sad that we are serious about it, right? Do you understand? Funny that you can't be serious. Sad that you are serious. It's so crazy that, come on, you're not serious, are you? You're joking. But the sad part is, no, I'm not joking. I'm dead serious. I actually think I'm a mujtahid. I just don't know what a mujtahid is. Do you follow my point? So what I said is funny and sad at the same time. But this has been something we're trying to fix. And the summit, we're getting there. Do y'all follow my point? Excuse me on the emotional roller coaster I go through when I'm dealing with this issue, because it's what's holding us back, this understanding. It's killing us, but it's deeply rooted in our communities. It's deeply rooted in our communities, and it's been there for like 50, 60 years. So we're fixing 50 and 60 years worth of damage. And even some of us who've picking up still got baggage we carrying. We haven't learned Sunni Islam properly. That's because the lack of teachers, the lack of books, the lack of access, the lack of all this stuff in our communities. We have to change that narrative. And even if we do it group by group. Now let me give something. Let me make a disclaimer. Y'all ready? Please pay attention. This is my disclaimer. Very important. Can we all put that up so I can make sure you with me? Disclaimer. Can y'all all put that up so I make sure you with me? You follow me. Can everybody put that up? I'm saying put it up so I know you're following me, so I know who's following me. I want you to pay attention because it's very important. Because sometimes if you're not paying attention, you're going to say stuff that I don't mean. Right? I'm speaking of me personally, so we don't get to ego tripping. I'm not qualified. Me, Amin Muhammad. I'm not qualified to teach us all we need to know. I'm not. What I am qualified is to recognize junk when I see it. And I can help you identify junk. I may not can teach you everything we need to know. I cannot. Not even the vast majority of what we need to know. That's going to be a learning process collectively for generations. But what I do recognize is garbage, false information. I can see it a mile away. We are at that stage collectively, where we collectively, we can say, hey, that's cap, as they say, the youngsters say. That's cap. You follow my point? And we need to get all of us at the level we can get all of us at the level where we collectively develop among us those qualified people in time. And we do have some who are on the road. We got to do our part to help them. So the question is, can you point us to those who are qualified to teach us? We're doing that. At our level, we have way more than we need. At our level. So you'll notice at the summit, we aligned up our teachers to answer questions among the many teachers we have that can get us to an intermediate level, right? To an intermediate level. All of us, the vast majority of us, are all beginners. All of us. All of us are all beginners. Even those who to us are advanced are beginners. All of us. None of us got no ego tripping here. Even the one who is more qualified to me is a beginner. That's where we at. That's just reality. Among us may be some at the intermediate level. Those at the intermediate level need to work with those who are advanced beginners, and the advanced beginners need to bring us all up to beginners level. And then, as we get to beginners level, those who are at advanced beginner level need to move to intermediate. Those who are at intermediate need to move to advanced. Those who advance need to move to the level of scholarship. That's a process that we're going to have to start from scratch. Do y'all understand my point? We're going to have to start that. That's for us as an African-American Black community. That's our work. That's going to happen for the next 100 years. 100 years. That's why I said no microwave Islam. We may not live to see the end, but we have to plant the seeds. We have to water the tree so that it grows to what we need. We cannot keep lagging behind the world. Every other nation that Islam came to them, they did this work. They have it. We don't have it. That's why we keep relying on others, and others keep pulling the wool over our eyes. We have to change this narrative, even if it's painful. And trust me, while we keep playing around, even white Americans are moving ahead. That's how they become our sheikhs. While we keep playing around, dabbling in all this confusion, white Americans are learning traditional Islam, and they're becoming the representatives of Islam in America. In the West, it's white folk, not blacks. Go look at the 50 greatest intellectuals in Islamic thought in our time and watch from the West is a bunch of white people, not blacks. This is real stuff. Racism is alive and kicking. I don't know why y'all don't see it. Reality. This reality. I'm being honest with you. We have to make a change. We have a lot of work to do. A lot. Don't be afraid of the work, even if you're not qualified. Do your part. All this is true. So if we know the enemies of Islam been working out and the oppression of the black man, that means we got to do something. And do something, first and foremost, is to realize what's happening to us. And then learn. We can't just be ignorant and say, are we being oppressed? Okay, we being oppressed. Let's fight back. Right? Let's fight back. I'll give you an example. Let me show you how vicious Mr. Charlie is. And I'm going to close with this. I'm going to show you how vicious Mr. Charlie is. Mr. Charlie's vicious, man. Seriously. It's deep. I share my history with you because it's a lesson, right? You know, when I was in the feds, federal prison, federal penitentiary. Well, don't be surprised I said prison. You still in prison. That's what America means, prison. I like that Malcolm line, right? Don't be shocked at me when I said I was in prison. You still in prison. That's what America means, prison. And there's brothers here who know me, right? They were in the feds with me, so they know me. So it's not like I'm telling some cat. They know me, and they know how I was. Everyone who was in the feds, they heard about me in my time when I was in the feds, and they know what kind of stuff I was on. It's well known for people who were in the system. It was only a few of us like us, right? So what happened to me in the feds, when I came in the federal system, the Wahhabi stuff was all over the place. And I had come from Egypt, right? Studying traditional Sunni Islam before I was in prison. I was on the run. When I came into prison, I see all this Wahhabi stuff. And I'm young. I'm in my early 20s. Young kids don't think, they just go, we got to stop this Wahhabi stuff, right? So at it, I'm teaching and teaching and teaching. So it's obvious. I'm teaching Sunnis. The same thing I'm teaching you right now, I was teaching 30 years ago, right? This not new stuff. Like I was teaching this 30 years ago. People could tell you who was with me. Some of these guys were with me for years, right? What the feds did, because we were teaching and we was changing the communities and people's learning, and is primarily mostly black people in the jail. We're the leaders in jail. I don't know, understand something. I really get angry with people who all of us done all this time in the prisons. We wasn't letting no foreigners run nothing. You get outside and you become a puppet to foreigners. I didn't get that part. In the worst place where you could get killed, you was in charge. You wouldn't dare let no foreigner run nothing. Brothers was running everything. And you get out in the street and they're running your communities. I always got confused about that. Where every day your life is on the line, you are in charge. You get out with all this freedom and all this access, and you become a slave. Confusing as heck. That's another sidebar. But what they did, as they saw people learning, they would lock me up and ship me out from prison to prison. They knew exactly what I was teaching. So they did it several ways. They would hire Wahhabi chaplains from the outside, right? Known Wahhabi, Medina graduates, University of Medina, and they would give them the job in the prison to slow us down. We radical. We ain't listening to them. Go sit your Wahhabi butt in the office. You not teaching nothing or doing anything. This is prison, so it's a different environment. Go sit down. You go over there and do some paperwork. You not teaching nothing, right? So what they would do, they would ship you out, right? Ship out means send you to another institution, administrative transfer. And they would do that at every institution. We just go to another institution and start teaching. Then they send you to another jail, penitentiary. You start teaching. Then as you build up, they send you to another institution. But they know what you're teaching because we were very explicit, right? Sunni, Ahl Sunnah, no Wahhabi stuff. We would explain, right? To ultimately, they put me in solitary confinement where I can't teach nobody. Right? And it's all your fault, King Shabazz. I told y'all leave me alone. Right? Right? But now check it out. They knew exactly what I was teaching. Then they come. Then they come later, and the government, that same government, warns against Wahhabism. Ain't that deep? The same government, when it no longer suits their needs, terrorism and all that, they're warning against Wahhabism. After they done knew they had CIA agents all over the world, they know, but it was to their benefit to keep us ignorant. They knew exactly what we were teaching, exactly the methodology. They knew it. But they didn't want blacks to really learn. That's deep. And we weren't doing anything but teaching Islamic knowledge. We weren't doing anything else. Of course, you're going to get in some drama because some unlearned people, they want to fight. They want to stab. They want to hurt. That happens. But they know for sure from the government level that these people are teaching Sunni correct Islam. They know our stuff. They read our books. They know what we're doing. We're not doing nothing wrong. But didn't work for them, so they tried to isolate us. And I spent the last 3 years in isolation, right? Think about that stuff, how deep that is. And they were the same ones who put this nonsense in our community, and now they're fighting terrorism. But they knew this stuff was going on all the time. It's game. And we always at the bottom of the crack. When it all comes down, it lands on our head as a people. Now we jacked up for 70 years, 50 years, and now white folks are getting traditional Islam in Mauritania, in Syria, in Egypt, and they're in the Gulf, and they're highlighted as Sunnis, and they got uh, uh, institutions and they're getting awards. But the black folk, let's give them the worst version of so-called Islam that exists. This is some deep stuff. This is what you're talking about, Furqan. But we know it, but now we got to admit we've been duped, and that's hard. That's hard for us. It's racism. It exists. It's real. But Allah loves us. Allah loves us. So now we got to do the work. And we can't do it with egos because some are more qualified than others, and we need each other. So that's why you notice we had Sheikh Abdul Karim Yahya, Sheikh Nasser Abdul Salam, Sheikh Yahya Baltimore, Imam Dawood Walid, Imam Talib, all of these different experiences at the summit, Sheikh Aisha Pram, Ustad Nuruddin Knight, all of these different resources to show us collectively we have what we need. Do you follow? But it's at different stages. You're good at this, I'm good at that, you're good at that. But collectively, we have everything we need. But we have to solidify that, and we have to be serious, and we have to work, and we have to support our efforts so that we can continue, so that we can compete. We can do it. It's not impossible, but it takes courage. I remember they put me in the hole for 6 months straight before they isolated me. They didn't tell me why. I knew why, but they wouldn't tell me, right? We were in a place we had no chaplain. So we were actually, teaching. There was Shia, there were Wahhabis. They got together to fight Ahl Sunnah. They brought in a Wahhabi chaplain. And that Wahhabi chaplain was coming in to get this guy, get him, Amin, get him. And I remember telling the brothers, I better not go nowhere near that place. I'm going to get shipped out. And I had been shipped out multiple times through penitentiaries, I knew what was going to happen. I said, listen, we learning. We can't fall, but young people, we all young and foolish. We got to take on these Wahhabis. I don't care. Let's go do it. We're not in charge, man. We in jail. We don't run nothing. That's older people. Young people don't think like that. Yeah, let's go get them. And sure enough, we won the debate. But guess what? You out of here, pal. And I remember sitting in the hole, like I'm watching after like months just go by, months after months after months, right? And they ship people out. So this one's going to Lewisburg. This one's going to Long Park. This one's going to Marion. This one's going to Texas. Marion, Leavenworth. They're going all over the place. I'm still sitting. And I said to myself, you're going to Florence, Colorado. That's where you're going, pal. I knew it. Just from all the shipping, I knew it was getting ready to happen. You're going to Florence, Colorado. And I'm sitting there, and I'm sitting in months, months, months. Shipments, I ain't going nowhere. And then the deputy warden, he comes to my cell, and he says, we told you to stop. I'm looking at this. All right, we won't say what I was looking at. I was looking at this gentleman, and I'm like, listen, we got to stand for the truth. We can't let this stuff spread among our people. We have to teach. And I remember he said to me, I never forget. He said, why you can't be like every other inmate and just come do your time and go home? I said, what I done? I'm just teaching religion, nothing else. He said, this ain't your jail. This is the BOP. You don't run the BOP. Bureau of Prisons. Federal Bureau of Prisons. I said, nobody trying to run the BOP. We're just trying to learn our religion. What are you talking about? He said, we got a place. We don't got to worry about you no more. And I said, I know what that meant. He said, you out of here. We ain't going to have to worry about you no more. But all that suffering, and they come, and one of the chaplains, who's very close to me now, they make a campaign to no Wahhabi books in the federal prison. The government, all the books that I was warning against for 10 years, they come and they're like, these are not allowed in the federal prison when it's convenient for them. Ain't that some deep stuff? And they never gave me an apology. They never gave me an apology. They took the stuff they're not allowed from DC. This stuff not allowed in the federal prison. But what about all the stuff y'all done to me? And my family, you never even came and said, we sorry, you were right. Not about me. And how many of us suffered among us. And now, you waging war against something, but you ain't go to the This government is deep. Now you have a worldwide campaign. You're going to Saudi Arabia, telling them to change their books. But when we was warning you about this in the early 90s, you gave us a hard time. Ain't that some deep stuff? You lied on us, put things in our files. Stuff you knew to do that, and you never say anything. So what I'm saying, with that behavior, is it shocking that this stuff is happening to us? Is it shocking? You know this stuff better than me. You've been doing this for decades. You've been having yours. You know exactly what I'm teaching. You know this stuff is, you doing it now, but it's spread all around our communities, spread all in our masajid, spread all in our Islamic schools. In our community primarily. You think something changed? No, it hasn't changed. This is real stuff. This is real stuff. And you go to our communities, what's spreading? The same thing they're warning against, the same thing they're blocking, the same thing they're checking globally, inside, is spread all around our communities. And even us who know is scared to talk. I don't want to cause fitna, okay? No, tell the truth. You don't got to cause fitna. You know this stuff is wrong. You know this stuff deviates from our tradition. Why are you afraid? Come on, man. This is real stuff. And this ain't something I'm making up. You got a bunch of people on here who know me, who knew exactly what I'm saying. They actually suffered when I left. They missed stuff. All the classes, all the lessons. They understand in many institutions across the United States. Right? Do y'all follow what I mean? At the end of the day, we get crapped on. So it's our job to educate ourselves so this is not our situation anymore. We're not doing anything wrong. We're following the religion as it was conveyed for 1400 years with unbroken chains of narration. We finally got it. So it's a way to undermine it. But that's why we have to learn. So if I look at the summit as a success, I'm sorry for going so long, but this stuff is so important because this is a long battle. We're not going to live to see the change. Most of us, we're going to die. But we have to do our part. And that's why I told you that story of Imam Ahmed bin Isa al-Muhajir. We still in that mode. We're still in that mode. We have to have a long vision, right? We have to have a long, long vision. We have to see 5 generations down the road that what we're doing today is long, long, long down the road. And it starts with proper education. If we don't learn properly, we shot. We dead in the water. We can have all the movements we want. We can have all of the, stuff, money, all that don't matter if we ignorant of the deen. It don't matter. We have to learn our religion properly. And then from there, we build. That doesn't mean we don't do nothing else. We still building while we learning. But collectively, we have to learn. That's our struggle. That's our struggle. And for me, that's the most important thing. That we learn first. We have to learn our religion. Al-ilmu qabla al-qawli wal-amal, as Imam al-Bukhari said. Knowledge before statements and action. We have to learn. And we have to learn properly. That don't mean we're going to be scholars. And it ain't necessary for us to be scholars. We just got to learn properly and then convey to the next one and convey to the next one and then invest in our communities, build our teachers, support them. When they come back, be able to provide for them so they can stay in our communities, so they don't come back after studying and then got to go in the immigrant community because we don't have any money. That happens a lot. Most of our teachers are working for others because we don't pay them. And then we wonder why we don't have anything. This is serious stuff. So I'm not on that kind of mission. I'm not on foolishness. We don't have, at best, I expect at tops, with health and everything safe, at tops, I myself might got 30 more years, if that. I'm talking about tops. I don't expect life expectancy. I don't expect to live more than 30 years. And I ain't talking about something else happening by the qadr of Allah before that. I'm talking about just natural. If I died of natural causes, I don't think I'm going to last 30 more years. May Allah give me a long life, but to be realistic, I don't, with all we've been through, I don't expect. But 30 years of working until we die is a long time if we're serious. We could do a lot. Even in 20 years, we could do a lot. And all of us should have in our mind, we're going to die doing this. There's no retirement. You're going to die in this work. No retirement for nobody. We're going to work because this work is ibadah. And Allah told us, وَعْبُدْ رَبَّكَ حَتَّى يَأْتِيَكَ الْيَقِينَ. Worship your Lord till certainty comes, death. So none of us should expect, I've been working too long. No, you haven't. We ain't even start for the work we have to do. All of us got to be 10 toes down to our capacity. The capacity is not the same. We different. Because telling you people are still trying to undermine us in the name of Sunni Islam. Racism has still got the game running. Trust me. It's still going. As in the name of Ahl Sunnah, racism is still running. It didn't stop. They don't want you to be in charge. They don't want you to be head. They want you to be under so you can be a servant class forever till you die. And we have to change that narrative. No way. We have to be equal sharers in the improvement and the furtherance of the ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we have a role as a people like everyone else. But it's our job to realize that and to do the work necessary to do our part. In the meanwhile, you're going to still have all these people that spread around our community. They spend millions and millions of dollars to misguide us. The Saudi government has whooped the black community. And they're still doing it because poor Negroes want to get a free education, which isn't a free indoctrination. They're going to go to Saudi Arabia. They're going to give them food. They're going to put them up. They're going to indoctrinate them. And they're going to send them right in our communities with that nonsense. And they've been doing it for decades. Deep stuff is real. And that's our biggest challenge today. We got other stuff, but it has much bigger challenges than what you're talking about. Much bigger. And our women, we are famous. Our women, they love someone with some game. And them dudes got plenty of game. I'm a student of knowledge. I sat with the Mushabbih, the Mujassim, so-and-so and so-and-so. And yeah, and they're making trips to Al-Madinah, and I'm taking you around the Mashayikh, and blah, 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 blah. All misguidance. Deep, all in our communities. We have a lot of work to do. And you know something? I'm going to be honest, which is the most frustrating thing for me as a teacher. You know how many of our brothers know exactly what I'm saying and can articulate it, but they themselves don't stand up? You know how many of our African-American brothers, Muslims, Americans of African descent, black brothers who know exactly what I'm saying, can articulate it, studied in the same places, the same traditions as me, and they're quiet as a church mouse. A lot. Some of them because they rely on others for their money. Man, if I start talking like that, I'm not going to get that I'm not going to get on that panel. I'm not going to get that honorarium. And y'all don't pay. Man, I got to do what I got to do. I got to take care of my family. I've heard that. They know exactly what I'm saying. It's not like they don't disagree. Oh, he's a little bit too radical. You know exactly. It's the same thing you got in your books. Open your books. But it's all flowery speeches and nonsense, playing games. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's our fault too, because we don't support our own. We just talk in pom-poms and cheerleaders. We don't really do work. We don't even believe in ourselves. We don't even love ourselves enough to do the work. And we got to change that too. That's movement, where we take pride in our people. We invest in our people. We trust and love our people. And I know them. And I would sit with any of them. They know me. It ain't like you don't know me. I would sit with you and we could talk about it. And they know it. And I am not one, because it's serious to me. I sacrificed most of my life in this stuff. I know what it's like. No. Let's deal with it. Stop. You know what I'm talking about. You probably can articulate it way better than me. Why are you so quiet? Is it just about you and your paycheck and your celebrity status? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Stop playing games. It's not just about us. You know, we learn, I'm sitting with them sheikhs and I'm sitting and I read this book and I blah, 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 blah. When you going to do some work? Except flowery nonsense classes that people don't even know what you're talking about. It's not clear. That's why they still part Wahhabi, part Sunni, part this, part that, because you're not explicitly clear. Come on, man. Knock it off. All right. No, I'm serious. I'm not talking about methodology. I'm talking about just being explicitly clear. We all got different temperaments. We all got different natures. I got that. But we all have the same truth. And we do know, we learned. I know what I know. If you know more than me, I know you know what I know. And I know what I know. So I know what you know. I know your shuyukh. I know your books. I know the same tradition. So what are you talking about? It's not like I don't know. I don't know. I studied in the same places you studied. My teachers are from the same places where you learned. And I know what they teach. I know the curriculum. I know the books. And you know the books. So what are you doing besides playing politics? It's not like you don't know. You do know because I know you know. So what are you saying? If y'all understand what I'm saying. And this ain't something that's like an argument. This is real facts. It's it cannot be challenged. It's real. It's life. Are we going to accept it, or are we going to just put our heads in the sand and continue to get kicked up the butt? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. Are we going to accept truth and do something about it? Or are we going to keep our heads in the sand and let people keep kicking us up the butt? That's your question. I prefer the former. Let's learn, let's build, let's stick together, let's make a collective educational process that future generations won't be in our condition. In every aspect of life, our deen covers everything, but we have to learn our deen. And all of us have skill sets that the other don't have. Bring all that stuff with the correct understand, and let's deal with it. And Allah knows best. I got 7 minutes for questions. I hold you up for 2 hours. Please forgive me, but this stuff is important. And we don't have enough time, but I hope you got an understanding. If there are a few questions, please ask. Allahu Akbar. Oh, since we're talking about that, what's your question, Akil? Please, we have to go all around the country, masjid to masjid, house to house, family to family, city to city, and teach this knowledge. And we need help to do that. So please, everyone, do your part. You might not can't teach. Help us get our teachers out the suburbs and get them in the hood and get them in the inner cities. We got to help. We need funding to do this. We don't have enough money for this work. We're fighting people who got millions, billions of petrodollars. We have to do what we can, help out. Help out. Even if it is $1 a day. That's right, Fatima. We need your help. Serious work. If you're serious, the talking sounds nice. The work is a whole nother story, right? We can always talk good talk. When we going to put in some work, right? Even if it's $1 a day, we got work to do. We can create all that, but I'm telling you, internet learning is not going to work. It's not a solution. We need face-to-face, on the ground learning. Someone's making sure you learn. Someone's really checking you. That's the tradition, not learning online. Learning online is an addition to face-to-face education, on the ground, student, teacher, face-to-face, with a book, learning. That's how we have to do it. That is our tradition. Online, you can hide. You can't hide face-to-face. Online, you don't have to pay attention. Online, you don't have to be checked. We need to make sure our people are actually learning. That's got to be on the ground. It's work the old-fashioned way, the way Sunni Muslims have been doing it for 15 centuries. Do you follow what I'm saying? I need to actually meet you. I just need this like, let me ask you a question quickly as you're asking questions. Didn't you notice at the summit is much different from learning online? Being with us at the summit, isn't it totally different? Did you notice that? Those who attended the summit, isn't it totally different from being online? Totally different. Those who attend our live sessions, isn't it totally different? You cannot compare the two. If you watch online, it's just some guy talking junk. I mean, but when you're face to face, breath to breath, heart to heart, soul to soul, it's a whole different thing. It's a whole different experience. And we shouldn't deprive ourselves of this experience. You can't feel sincerity if you don't be in its midst. You can't feel struggle. You can't feel aspirations. All those things, you need to be in touch with it. The reason we got this spirit, we were with living teachers who made us look like we lazy. We were with them face to face, breath to breath, page for page, line for line, word for word. That sohbah, that companionship has traces. We need to do that in our communities. And it costs money to do it. That's real. It's not free. You have to sacrifice if you're serious. It was about how do we engage those who don't follow a madhab in fiqh or aqidah, nor follow tasawwuf, but they are not Wahhabi or Salafi. With love. But be real. With love. We love our people. We understand. Once you understand that we've been hoodwinked, then I'm not mad at you because you don't understand. You're missing some things. I'm your brother. I'm trying to help you. I want you to have the right stuff. We can dialogue. We don't have to fight. We know we've been hoodwinked. We know game been ran on us. Let's work together to fix it. And it might not happen overnight. So we're going to have good dealings with one another. I'm not your enemy. The one who lied to us is your enemy. I'm not your enemy. Even though he told you I'm your enemy, I'm not. Get to know me and you'll see I'm not your enemy. Do you follow what I'm saying? We got to be patient with each other. But that doesn't mean we're going to hide the truth. Right? We're not going to hide the truth. So we're going to explain the truth. Don't be like me. I'm not asking you to be like me. Do it in your own way, but do it. Listen. Teach. Share. And convey in your own suitable way. However, do it. Got me? That's how you do it. Teach, share, convey what you learn in your own way. Do it though. Don't not do it. Don't skip the issues. Find a way to do it. Do it. No, no. Why do I say no? Can we take non-Aqidah knowledge from Salafis? Learn to read the Quran. Why you need to learn from Salafis when you got millions of Sunnis, all hundreds of millions of Sunnis all around the world? Why do you need to learn from someone who is misguided in creed and practice? Why? I don't understand. And if you say there's no Sunnis available, that's a bigger problem. Think about it. If the Wahhabi, Salafi don't even make up 6% of the Ummah in numbers. And if we can't learn from no other people except from them, we got a problem. That's a huge problem. That's a huge problem, right? So the answer is no. Why you don't have Sunni teachers? When hundreds of millions of Sunni teachers and Sunnis around the whole entire world. I don't get it. With chains of narrations in Quran, in Hadith, in fiqh, in Arabic language, in Sirah. I don't understand. Why would we need to take from them? For what? With our rich tradition that spans 15 centuries. I don't get it. For some movement that has not even been around for 300 years. I don't understand. What are we missing here? I'm talking about us collectively, if you follow me. Absolutely not. For what? Doesn't make sense. If we think about it, why are we so intimidated? About what? They don't even stand on a strong faith foundation. What are we so intimidated and inferior about? I don't get it. What are we missing here? It's because we don't know our tradition. We don't know our global and historic legacy. I don't understand. They don't even know anything. What are we missing here? They don't even have knowledge. It's a mess. I'm not being funny. I'm being real. If you learn Islamic scholarship and you learn it properly, this stuff's a mess. But somebody got to tell us. It's not personal, like we hate our people. No, we love our people. That's why we're telling you. We can't keep this stuff up for another 50 years. We have to make a change. You're in London, in the UK, you have plenty of Sunnis in the UK. Plenty of institutes that are Ahl Sunnah that teach Quran with unbroken chains of transmission. You're in the UK. You got a bunch. People who studied Qira'at and everything. Abundant. Way more than in America. Talk to the Sunnis there. You people in the UK, it's people who still think they have to be Salafi. Come on, guys, get up. It's so many institutes in the UK that are Sunni with continuous chains of Quranic recitation from great scholars in Sham and Egypt. Come on, they're available. Stop being afraid. Rise up. Make yourself known. We need it. People are default Wahhabi because no one is telling them. And they dominate in the airwaves. Speak up. All right, I'm gone, inshallah. No, we'll come to you for Quran. Put them together. We're gonna talk about that, inshallah. We'll come to you. You don't have to come all the way here. We'll come to you. It's better you build in your own area. May Allah reward you all. We'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. And if anyone was offended, trust me, I don't mean to offend you. I want to have real talk. It's very crucial for our people that we're honest and truthful to one another, right? We have to work hard. It's going to be a little painful, but we want to be whole and we want to be well. So we got to do what we got to do. And we need more, not just a few. We need more people who learn and convey and are outright straightforward with manners and behaviors too. Barakallahu bikum. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati yasifun. Amma yasifun. Wassalamu ala mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Assalamu alaikum.